Each one of these paladins is the paladins that I use to solo the game, to lone wolf. Each one of these paladins can perfectly fine just do solo things on their own. Imagine having them on a complete crew of all of them being so overpowered. Then again, these paladins, especially the Sorkadin and the Bardadin, they are the ones that I usually use to solo Raphael. At the Tactician mode, they trivialize the game so hard, so very hard. Now do have in mind that you need to have a party composition. A party composition has to make up for everything that the rest of the characters may or may not have. So we have a roster of different paladins right here that are going to be multi-classing to different things, like for example the Bardadin, which is going to take care of the Lux. And since the Bardadin can take care of the Lux, not much that you already have charisma to take care of all of the socials and things like that. What makes them so amazing is the synergy that they use to work together, and then again, on their own, as solo, lone wolves, these guys are a force to be reckoned with. So, before we continue, a little word from today's sponsor. Bloodline Heroes of Lythas is an amazing kingdom building RPG where you can craft astonishing heroes with some amazing and creative combos. The idea here is that you create and marry heroes for more powerful and amazing ones to be born, combinations that can go up to 4,000 different champions. The game gets constant updates and bi-weekly new plotlines. I, for example, am enjoying Vivilla, a descendant of elves turned to vampires that not only sound cool, but they also look amazing as well. There's also amazing PvP that you can play in seasonal content. Not only can you craft and design your champions by marrying waifus and changing genders and things like that and what have you, but you can also craft and build a kingdom in strategic gameplay. You can download the game for Android and iOS using the link in the video description and in the pinned comment, as well as using the QR code that you see on the screen. Using my download link will yield you $20 of rewards in the form of 1 summoning crystal, 100,000 gold, and 100 diamonds, and the first 30 players to leave their account and ID in the pinned comment will also receive the Legendary Succubus Champion, the Luxuriant. Before we can do anything else, we have to establish what are the roles of our characters. One very important thing is going to be the equipment. Since all of them are going to be paladins, you might be wondering, well, maybe this is not going to be so viable because the item allocation is going to be so spread out that my main character is not going to have everything that I want to have. One thing that you can do, link is going to be in the video description, is the Cleric exploit to get 4 legendary devotees mace. That's something that also happens just on endgame. One little side note as well, a lot of people is going to be concerned. This is just for endgame. You're using endgame gear and things like that. I can already see those comments coming. That is not true. This guys can start working perfectly fine since the very first act of the game. The quintessential part of everything is, more than anything, going to be darkness. Darkness is one of the most powerful things, and that is why darkness is banned from many DMs, Dungeon Masters. We don't have Dungeon Masters here, so we can abuse of that thing. That is going to be the quintessential part of everything, and for darkness to work, you only need to be level 3 on your Warlock. You do have to take 2 levels into Paladin first to get that extra smite. But that being the case, at level 5, that is when you are going to have the darkness established. That is where you're going to be able to cast all of those things. And in reality, it's not going to be that difficult, because to level up to level 5 in the first act of the game, you don't actually have to do quite a lot of fighting. You just need to do a little bit of exploring, a little bit of dialogue here and there, and that should be more than enough to carry you to level 5. Then again, back to equipment allocation and how are we going to diverse things. And the roles of the party, the roles of the crew, the socials, we have already taken care of that. We already have taken care of the socials because our paladins usually have high charisma. Now we are going to be needing someone that is going to open locks. In Tactician mode is also very important that we have a character with sleight of hands to steal camp supplies for every time that we need to be resting from the innkeepers, and also to get money. Well, what do you know, one of our paladins is also a bard that is going to be reliant on high dexterity, and as a matter of fact the armors that he's going to be using are going to be medium armors. And look, strangely enough, even though that this paladin, this being the case, Shadowheart right here, Shadowheart is my bard right here, she's using medium armor because she has high dexterity. And there are medium armors in the game, both in the early stages of the first act of the game. There's a beautiful armor that you can use to bypass the lock that you place on medium armors, the maximum dexterity armor class. That means that all of your armor class is going to be there. Once you reach the end game, you can get the armor of agility that has 17 armor class plus 5 from the dexterity that you already have, meaning that you have like 22 armor class just from the armor in itself. So that is just amazing. Now then again, the warlocks are the only ones that have magical darkness. They are the only ones that can take advantage of that magical darkness. That is not entirely true. There's a ring in the game that is going to allow you to see magical darkness. You find that ring on the second act of the game, and then you also have the Helldusk helmets. Granted, that is an endgame item, but how magical darkness works is ideally if someone is inside and they are both blinded, your attack rolls are going to be the very same thing because they are going to be negating one to another. If you have magical darkness, you are going to have an advantage against the enemy that is blinded. So if one of your paladins is blinded inside of your of that magical darkness, it doesn't really matter because the enemy is also going to be blinded. If the enemies have Devil Sight, you only need to kill them as soon as you can with your warlocks, your Locadins that also have Devil Sights. And to put you into context on how amazing, broken and divine this thing is, the Soikudin can natively have quite a lot of armor class. And as a matter of fact, the build that I posted for a Paladin, which is a combination between Paladin, Bard and Sorcerer, which is what I have with Shadowheart right here, she can reach 40 armor class thanks to the features that we have on the levels right now. If you pair that up with the Helldusk helmet or the ring that allows you to see in magical darkness, you have a character that has 40 armor class, but on top of that 40 armor class, the enemy has disadvantage against that character. So it's virtually impossible for the enemy to deal damage to you. You're virtually impossible. Have in mind that is just one of the paladins that you have on the crew. One of the 4 paladins that actually like to, because of the high smite power that they have, they can one-shot people quite a lot. They love to one-shot people, especially if you have Lucky of the 4 realms, especially if you have Killer Sweetheart, especially if you're paralyzing enemies. One thing that I love about everything is that since you have 2 Sorkadins that can to cast haste, all of your characters are going to be hasted. All of your characters are going to have 4 attacks per turn, meaning that in one single turn you are going to be doing 16 attacks in one turn. So ideally the enemy is not going to survive that much against these guys. And that is basically how everything works. When you are setting up the battlefields, you have to make sure that you are using the magical darkness in strategical positions that are going to take the most advantage out of the enemy. Also have in mind that if you enter turn-based mode before you actually start fight, you can take advantage of stealth. It's not going to work that all of the time, but more often than not, some characters are going to enter combat, some other characters are not going to enter into combat. The other characters that are not into combat can take advantage every time that one of your characters that is in combat has their turn. They can move freely throughout the battlefield without having, well, not freely, provided that they are inside the darkness. They can move inside the darkness to do a little bit more of mayhem around here and there. And then again, how this works is that you place your characters strategically. You place 1 magical darkness, 1 more magical darkness. You begin combat. Before you begin combat, make sure that you haste all of your characters. That gives us +2 armor class to each one of our characters, and all of our 4 characters in the crew are going to be hasted because of Twin Spell. Twin Spell from the Sorcerer. Remember, we have 2 Sorcerers on the crew. allows you to haste 2 characters instead of 1. So you've hasted all of your 4 characters, providing +2 armor class to all of your characters, providing extra actions to all of your characters. And all of your characters, if you have the proper items, if you have the proper pills, then again, all of that is going to be linked in the description. You basically are invulnerable. And have in mind that a lot of people is going to be concerned, but hey, if they make you do saving throws, yes, you have quite a lot of armor class, yes, you have quite a lot of advantage, but the enemy can still make you do saving throws. Not really. The enemy cannot make you do saving throws, at least when it comes to spell, because the enemy cannot cast spells inside of your magical darkness if they don't have devil sights. If the enemy has devil sight, you have 4 paladins, not just 1. You have 4 paladins that can deal, that can take care of all of the enemies that have devil sight. So you can take care of them first, and then take care of everything else. And then again, no spell is going to bypass the magical darkness. So you're always going to be the invincible. It's just so broken, and as you can see on screen, it trivializes Tactician mode so hard that it just feels like cheating at this point. Anyways, if you like the content, like and super appreciated. Now I tell you today that you're a gorgeous and beautiful person. You are indeed a gorgeous and beautiful person. I will be seeing you goddamn gorgeous and beautiful people in the next one. Have a beautiful day and goodbye.